Hello and welcome back to Football Index Moneyball. Today we have the February portfolio and pick of the day review for you, and it's been another solid month for the pick of the day players, although not quite as good as December. And following some big rises, we've seen a few of our top returning players drop away and some new players work their way towards the 100% club. Before we get going, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. If you want to follow me on Twitter, then you can search for @IndexMoneyball. And if you haven't yet signed up to Football Index, Football Index Edge or Football Index Club, then there are links in the description for this video. There's also a link to my new Patreon page where you can get bonus content, a community message board for posts and discussions, additional player picks, portfolio reviews, and you also have the option to be featured in the shout out page of the video. So big thanks to all my patrons who've signed up so far, and a special shout out to VoiceBox CIC, a social enterprise that's run by one of my Europa League level patrons, and also to my Champions League level patron Mark McShane of Skills Training Group. Anyway, back to the monthly review. So the first player I want to point out is last month's best buy now pick of Thomas Muller. Since the December video, Muller's risen from 70p to £1.13 and has earned 4p in IPDs if you'd have topped up when the video came out. So that comes to over 67% return in 1 month. I couldn't have predicted that kind of impact, but I think my reasoning was solid for selecting him, and I hope it gives an indication of the value that can be found in some of the old pick of the day players who were at or below the price from the original video. Also, hopefully that can encourage you to watch the full video to find out this month's best buy now player, as we've been pretty successful so far with the first two of Alenia and Thomas Muller. Looking at the headline numbers at the bottom, we've seen a slight dip in the average profit this month, which is understandable based on the results from December being so good. So now we're sitting in an average profit of just over 40% for the 33 players featured so far, with an average yield of just over 5%. This is a slight improvement from last month, and it's actually one of the surprises for me as I don't tend to trade for dividends, so to be at a 5% average is great. The increase this month was down to a couple of PB wins for Maxwell Cornet and Alisson Player, along with a few IPDs. As far as the 100% club goes, there's been quite a bit of movement this month, in and out, with Willian dropping down to 81% profit after a quiet spell. I think with the older players, it's to be expected that the price will rise and fall based on performance and fixtures. And it's also worth mentioning that when a player's price is peaking off the back of those performances, if you've hit your profit target, it could be a good time to sell a portion of your position. I won't give any sell recommendations on here as I don't want to influence any crashes on player prices, but I'm working on a new strategy video on when and why to sell a player, so keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. Then for the players moving into the 100 club, Nainggolan has returned after a couple of good performances, and we have two new additions in Alphonso Davies and Maxwell Cornet, bringing the total to 5 players over the threshold. Munir has retained his top spot as the biggest riser, but he's shed some of that profit, moving from 143% to 119%, mainly due to him losing his place in some of the recent fixtures. Another area we can see an improvement is the losing players, where we've cut the number down from 3 to 1. Having said that, the biggest loser has increased from 11% to 15%. A lot of this is down to the fact that Fraser didn't get a January move that some people would have been expecting, but his contract's still out in the summer, so I won't be selling anytime soon, as there should be speculation and the potential for an upgrade in terms of the quality of his teammates for next season. As I've mentioned a few times, I focus a lot of my trading on low risk, high reward players, so it's great to see the loss column shrinking, as well as top end profit moving up. Moving on to the annualised profit spreadsheet, I actually managed to get a big chunk of additional funds into the index this month, almost entirely down to the work of my friend Richard Kellett winning a signed event at the Aussie Millions. I'd bought a 5% share in him, so big thanks to Richard and his poker skills for helping to fund my FI habit for another month. This took my total investment up by 20% to over 30k, which had the effect of removing my chance to surpass the 100% real profit target I was aiming for. My profit increased by just over 18% with a return of £4,096, bringing my total up to £26,264. This represents an 8.4% return on my balance plus deposits from last month, and I have to say that I'm incredibly pleased with how things have gone over the Christmas period, with a profit of 9k over the 2 months. I put a fair amount of prep into my port leading up to the transfer window, so it's good to see that it paid off. This has taken my estimated annual ROI to 120% from 116% last month, and this month's dividend haul of £413 has brought the estimated annual yield to 9%. So this is pretty much all I have on the review portion of the video. Hopefully some of you have benefited from some of the recent picks as well. If you have any questions, then you can ask them in the comments, or if you want some extra help, then take a look at the Patreon page. Now we'll be moving on to the best buy now portion of the video. So the player I've chosen is Alisson Player. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Player actually managed to pick up some PB this month with a Gold Day top forward win. But since he's dropped a bit over the winter break, his price has stayed pretty close to when I first made the video, with him now at £1.46 versus £1.41 back in November. One thing to be aware of though is that he has got sent off in his last game for a second yellow, so he's going to miss his next match unfortunately. This pick gives me a good reason to cover a pattern I've noticed on FI recently, in that the first PB win for a player tends not to move the needle too much on the price, but the second and any subsequent wins can result in some big increases. This is also true to some extent with the high PB scores, as was shown by Thomas Muller. He had a great first half of the season with lots of goal contributions and some close PB scores. Now, as these performances have persisted in the new year, despite his lack of a PB win, his price has seen the benefit. Anyway, if you're interested, then you can go back and check out the original pick of the day video for Player to see the rest of the analysis for his full career stats. And another thing that's looking likely is that Player is probably going to be playing some Champions League football next year, so even if he doesn't get a transfer, that's going to be to his benefit in the long run. But these best buy now picks are more short-term focused, looking at who I think is probably going to get the most benefit or could potentially get the most benefit in the next 30 days. That's all we've got for you on today's pick. Again, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment and subscribe. Also, if you know someone else who might like the video, then sharing with them would really help me out. There are links in the description for signing up to Football Index and Football Index Edge if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel for more strategy videos and the other picks of the day. Most picks are long-term holds with depressed prices for some reason or other, so often the picks can still offer the same value, if not better, a few weeks after. And the research methods and reasoning can help if you're new to the index and want to learn to analyse your own players. Thanks for watching, good luck on the index.